What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another news video. And there's lots of news to report following NXT's debut on the USA Network. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at NXT's ratings, poor Hell in a Cell ticket sales, Kayla Braxton's knife wound, NXT Injury Report, a third hour of AEW, is Luke Harper still unhappy in WWE, why Jushin Thunder Liger is retiring, and our main story looks at Kenny Omega shooting hard on NXT wrestlers, with one answering back. Let's get straight into the first story, as the ratings are in. While NXT's USA Network premiere received good feedback from fans, just how many people tuned in? According to Cage Side Seats, the premiere of NXT on USA on Wednesday night drew 1,179,000 viewers. Overall, NXT's debut as a weekly live show placed 4th among original cable television broadcasts on Wednesday nights. The black and yellow brand only trailed American Horror Story on FX, Basketball Wives and Black Ink Crew both on VH1 on the night. One important question is how NXT did compare to Raw and SmackDown. Cage Side Seats provided some details, noting among the ever-important 18 to 49-year-old demographic, it drew a 0.56 rating, while Raw and SmackDown drew a 0.89 and 0.78 rating in the very same demo this past week. In terms of overall ratings, NXT's USA premiere came up short against some of Raw and SmackDown's lowest numbers. The third hour of the September 10th episode of Raw drew in 1.85 million fans, while the lowest SmackDown viewership has hit over the past 6 months was an April 30th episode that clocked in at 1.83 million viewers. Just because we're comparing doesn't mean that this is a failure, not at all. In fact, this was a huge success for them, as they weren't even predicting those sort of numbers. Vince McMahon was even said to be pleased with the episode, and other than the difficulties fans faced trying to log into the WWE Network for Hour 2, it was a big success. The WWE let NXT stand on its own, focusing on NXT superstars rather than importing a number of Raw and SmackDown stars to try and amp up the ratings. Next up, Hell in a Cell No Sell? 6th October's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view appears to be the latest WWE event plagued by problematic ticket sales. The show is being held at the Golden One Center in Sacramento, California, with 2 Hell in a Cell matches scheduled, a match between The Fiend Bray Wyatt and Universal Champion Seth Rollins, as well as Sasha Banks taking on Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Dave Meltzer also speculated that Roman Reigns will team up with Daniel Bryan to take on Rowan and Luke Harper, but that hasn't been confirmed. Even with those 2 marquee matches, things aren't looking good with ticket sales. According to this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, the show is not selling well. At this point, only 6 of the 22 upper deck sections are on sale, and even 3 lower deck sections on the side of the hard camera aren't for sale, and Sacramento has always been a historically strong WWE market. There were 781 secondary market tickets out with an entry price of $43. Next up, NXT Injury Report. While NXT's USA debut was a success, several NXT wrestlers are dealing with a range of injuries. A recent report at Fightful.com mentioned Velveteen Dream, Arturo Ruiz, and Kona Reeves are not cleared after their bouts on Wednesday. Also mentioned was Joaquin Wilde, formerly DJZ, who is set to undergo surgery for a broken eye socket suffered back in July. Wilde is only expected to miss a few weeks following surgery. With any luck, NXT won't experience a rash of injuries that robs it of several of its top stars. Next up, Kayla Braxton cuts herself. Now, speaking of injuries, the WWE's Kayla Braxton apparently cut her thumb accidentally, resulting in her needing stitches. Braxton posted a short video on Instagram and mentioned she'll be updating her immunizations. Will she bump into Dean Ambrose getting his inoculations at the doctor's? Next up, a third hour of AEW. In a recent interview with IGN.com, AEW Executive Vice President Cody discussed the possibility of adding a third hour to AEW's new show, which has been confirmed as All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. He mentioned, "We're going to try and present quality over quantity, which means that some guys are going to have some time off, which for the life and the well-being of a wrestler is a great thing to hear, that they're not going to be every week putting themselves in a high-profile singles match. That every week they're not going to be in a barn burner tag. It's going to be a very different show each week. We're not going to try and cram everybody on a 2-hour show. There's no participation award here." A lighter schedule has been one of AEW's selling points, as wrestlers can earn the same or, if not more money than other promotions without a hard road schedule. However, Rhodes hasn't ruled out a third hour and told IGN, "It will probably be live for people to stream on BR Live," he shared. "We have a lot of resources, and we want to make sure that the people can plug into wrestlers who we signed, who they're fans of. We're gonna try and keep everybody busy." It should be interesting to see how AEW promotes what looks to be a large roster with limited television time to introduce them all. Next up, is Luke Harper still unhappy in WWE? A recent Instagram post by Luke Harper, who returned to TV at Sunday's Clash of Champions event after months of rumors he wanted his release from the WWE, suggests one half of the Bludgeon Brothers may still be unhappy with the WWE. "Larry, in over 7 years with WWE, I've never had a single Luke Harper t-shirt, but now all 155 NXT wrestlers get their own? Got it. Good luck tonight." After someone replied that Harper should stop whining, he replied, "No hate, I was putting the NXT TV show over. Reading comprehension not a strong suit, dude? Well, we gotta admit, it's quite an interesting way of putting over a TV show." Next up, a little Japanese wrestling news, something we don't tend to cover as much on the channel, as you may have heard that wrestling legend Jushin Thunder Liger will be working his last match at Wrestle Kingdom 14. Now, Liger has explained his reasoning for hanging up the tights after a career that began in the mid-80s and by all accounts is still going strong. It was kind of not really sudden, but a sense of, okay then. It just felt like the right time to put a full stop on things. I've done everything I ever wanted to do. Plus, I think it's important to bow out with the fans saying, why is he quitting now? He can still go, rather than laughing like, old man Liger is still going? This way is more dignified. We have nothing but absolute respect for Jushin Liger and hope he enjoys his retirement. Next up, a few tidbits. As Seamus may be returning to a WWE ring soon. According to Dave Meltzer, the Celtic Warrior has been cleared to wrestle following a concussion he suffered. As you might recall, Seamus also suffers from spinal stenosis. Meltzer reports the Usos should be back on TV soon as well. Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch will be lending their voice talent to the upcoming Paramount Animation WWE Studios for the film Rumble. According to the press release, the film's premiere is in a world where monster wrestling is a global sport and monsters are superstar athletes. Winnie seeks to follow her father's footsteps by coaching a lovable underdog monster into a wrestling champion. The film is scheduled for summer 2020 debut. Chris Jericho recently appeared on the finale of America's Got Talent, helping comedian Ryan Niemiller working on Talking Smack. He came third on the show. The week's Observer newsletter reports New Japan Pro Wrestling posted its biggest profit yet, grossing $50 million during the period from 1st August 2018 to July 31st, 2019, which would be the biggest year in its history. It was up 10.8% from last year. But despite this and the increased attendance, profits were still down. And lastly, rumors persist that while Stone Cold Steve Austin isn't officially set to appear for SmackDown's Fox premiere, he will be at the event. Now let's look at our main story, as Kenny Omega shoots hard on NXT wrestlers, and one NXT wrestler is furious. So it appears that AEW wrestler and one of the company's executive vice presidents, Kenny Omega, isn't impressed with NXT superstars. In an exclusive interview with Sportskeeda, Omega had this to say about NXT. And yet, when I sit back and I look at the grand picture, I'm going to war with these dudes that if we were on the same show together, the same promotion, let's pretend there were no borders. Let's pretend there were no promotions. Let's just pretend there's one big promotion. If these guys were in the same show as me, they'd be in the dark match. They'd be in the opening match of my main event match. You wanna call that a war? You wanna call that competition? Go ahead. Maybe it's fun for you to do, that's cool, but we're on different planets. And you're gonna see that right away when you see 10,000 plus arenas sold out. You're gonna see smiles on fans' faces. You're gonna see real stars, not developmental talent, but real stars appearing on your television sets every week. As you might expect, Omega's comments have generated quite the online response from wrestling fans and NXT wrestler Dominic Kovac, who took to Twitter to respond to Omega's comments. Hey, Kenny Omega, remember when my match with Keith Lee embarrassed yours on PWG Homecoming Weekend of Bola 2017? Tune in this Wednesday to see NXT on USA at 8 PM, so two developmental guys can show a real star how it's done, again. Omega responded with a 50-cent meme. Now, trash talking is expected on both sides, but it might be better to wait until AEW has run several television episodes before Omega boasts any more. But ultimately, will Omega look like a fool when the ratings come in and NXT beats them week after week? They've consistently said they don't want to start a war, but these comments certainly add fuel to the fire growing between these two big promotions. We can't wait for them to go head to head. But what do you think of Omega's comments? Are they appropriate for someone who handles the promotion's business aspect? Is he just being in character? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.